Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if we can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my good brother from the Bulletcast. It's Philip. How's it going, Philip?
Huey, it's Thursday night. I'm watching WCW Super Brawl 2000. Shout out Tank Abbott. And neither of us are Bulletcast champion. My co-host Brandon, he's the champion, and he has a grime to pick with you.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm glad you're bringing this up right now. A couple things. One, also I should add, joining Philip once again is your smoke alarm.
You see, that's the thing. He's upset that the smoke detector made In The Kliq before he did.
Oh, I know. I heard it. I watched the video. I know. Now, it's like your smoke detector is to him is the
third man.
No, your smoke detector to Brandon is what the fly is to VP Mike Pence.
Oh, we're getting political on here. Oh man. Oh man.
The smoke detector gets more attention than him. That's what he's upset about.
Huey, let's get political in The Kliq after dark.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm down. I mean, you and I think, are pretty much on the same on most political stuff. So I think you and I are on the same page. So it would just be
we're not assholes. It's just that
exactly. So it's all good. No, but yeah, man. So okay, I saw the clip where he was upset that he hasn't been on yet. Well, I hope he realizes a couple things. One, okay, like, we've been recording the podcast from home because of this pandemic, and because of my very old computer, I only have the capabilities of recording one person virtually without my computer going super slow and crapping out on me. So, but as I was telling you off the air, big day for me. I went to the computer store, dropped off a bunch of computer parts that I bought last week, off Amazon, and I'm getting a supercomputer being built right now. So hopefully that'll be ready by next week. And then moving forward, In The Kliq can expand as far as content creation, more fun stuff, better sounding audio, get some more video, streaming video involved, YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. I have big things lined up, and being able to record multiple people at the same time from remote locations. So Brandon, sit tight, be patient. You will be on in the very near future, sooner rather than later. Which also, okay, you just said he's the Bulletcast champion?
Yes, he is. 9 times.
Okay, when did he last defend it?
He hasn't had it since the Rumble. That's when he lost it.
Okay, no, but I saw you post, he won it after this weekend at NXT TakeOver, and I didn't make any picks for it. No one asked me.
Oh, you didn't?
No! So, he...
I could have sworn.
No, so I heard this. I saw that. I was like, WTF? He went unopposed, or he didn't have me as a challenger. No wonder he got to retain it so easily. I'm just saying, he had an easy bye victory this week, pretty much. It was such an easy. I mean, it was just you two, right?
Yeah, oh man, Huey, you know what, Huey?
It's all good, because let's be honest. If I was involved, that title when it came back to me, he would have lost. So he had an easy victory road this past weekend. No pun intended, because Impact had their show last weekend as well. But I'm just saying, Brandon, enjoy that title. because it's going to come home to the king in the very near future. And the only reason you were able to retain it this weekend because I was not involved in the pick. So I'm just putting it out there. Homeboy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, when we start doing video, I heard your In The Kliq episode from this week. You know, Richard's not a fan of the spinner title. We have to have a debate about that.
Maybe that's the thing. Once I get this new computer, maybe, we can actually have like a fun roundtable discussion, almost like the Brady Bunch, have multiple screens of people all chiming in. No, I'm saying I'm excited. Like real talk.
We'll call it the Huey Bunch.
The Huey Bunch. There we go. Like Jericho had the bubbly bunch. Yes, with the Huey Bunch. So no, I like I said, real talk. All kidding aside, I'm excited for what's in store for In The Kliq, a new era, I guess you could say, in the coming weeks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And therefore, we can get everyone that contributes to In The Kliq, the In The Kliq family. We all can maybe possibly do an episode together, get Brandon involved, get other people involved, record more interviews together and other people, and just, virtually just record more stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, Brandon, I just said once again, enjoy your title win, even though it wasn't against me. So you had an easy victory right there. Cause like in my short time, as far as making picks, I've been doing pretty well. So enjoy it. Like the master is coming back for it very soon. So, but no, thanks again.
Shots fired by Baby Huey.
But no, thank you again, Kliqsters, for joining us on this week's episode. As always with Philip, we talk all things AEW. And as always, remember to please subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, also Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at In The Kliq, and inthethe.kliq@gmail.com. And thank you for all the support lately. Real talk also, our numbers have been going up, so a lot of good things going on. I helped out with our friend, Tim from, Pro Wrestling Unlimited on his, NXT TakeOver review. So check that out on the Pro Wrestling Unlimited YouTube page and check out their website for just the latest breaking news and all that stuff. So, lots going on. Like I said, Philip, I think collectively all of us involved, some big things are gonna, I think in the works for all of us, as far as the rest of 2020. Despite the pandemic, good things are coming. So, man, a lot of stuff to talk about. Sorry for no episode as far as AEW related goes last week. Like I said, just a lot going on. It's been super busy at work personally for me, and just other stuff going on. And so dealing with all this computer stuff, it's been a lot of work. I'm no computer expert by no means, but no, Philip, real quick, how you been, man? How's everything going for you?
I've just been a schmuck at home. I don't have a job. I've been good, man. Brandon and I, we're still putting out content. Cindy, she's been a big help for on the End of the Stratosphere for the Bullet Cast, covering New Japan and Impact Wrestling and her AEW Heels talk. So on our end, we're doing all right, man. We're just keeping the needle moving.
Absolutely. So, and there's your smoke detector again. I feel like every time your smoke detector rings, Brandon gets upset that little bit more. Like, what was it? A Miracle on 34th Street. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. Do you remember that line? Old black and white movie. Do you remember that movie at all? Have you heard of it? No.
Dude, I was born in 96.
I know.
No.
Damn, who am I talking to? Anyway, I just feel like every time that smoke detector goes off, it's another, poke at Brandon listening. So, Brandon, if you're listening right now, enjoy the smoke detector. It's getting more airtime than you right now.
Oh, man. All the shots fired.
But yeah, man, no, like I said, a lot of stuff to talk about. So, we'll focus on this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. Very special episode. Specifically, it was the celebration of our friend of the show, Le Champion, the demo god, Chris Jericho. It was a celebration of his 30th anniversary in pro wrestling. And man, so we'll kind of get into, obviously, the whole show and break it down. A lot of cameos from, I guess, friends of Chris Jericho from the music, wrestling, entertainment industry. Before we just kind of get into that, just fill up just what are your thoughts on Chris Jericho as a performer? What does he mean to you? Any particular favorite highlights from his career that you want to share? I mean, let's just talk about the man himself, Chris Jericho.
I mean, what can I say about my friend Chris Jericho, my drinking buddy? No, but all seriousness aside, man. I mean, 30 years, that's an incredible accomplishment. I mean, he's been wrestling longer than I've been alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the career. Shawn Michaels said this on Sam Roberts' podcast. His whole career is it's the same guy. It's just an entire story. And I look at that for every wrestler now. Chris Jericho, the same guy playing the same character, just there are different variations of it. From Corazon de Leon to Lionheart to the obnoxious guy in WCW, the Millennium Man, Y2J, the Ayatollah, the suit and tie, big words saying Jericho, the scarves, the light up jacket, the list, the Painmaker, Le Champion, all this stuff. It's the same character, just with all these different story arcs, and I love it. I mean, Jericho, he's in my top 2. He's literally one of the greatest of all time, and I've always said the suit and tie Jericho, that's my favorite one. The list, it didn't top it. Light Up Jericho didn't top it. Le Champion topped it.
Wow. Okay, the suit and tie one, because that's
when he has his feud with Shawn.
Yeah, and because I'm trying to remember the timeline. Let's see, because I graduated college in 2006, and so that's when I was able to kind of start watching a little more regularly again. Because I've said this before on the podcast, between 2002 to 2006, I mean, that was my college years, and real talk. My mom passed away in 2002. My dad had cancer in 2003, and my dad had cancer in 2004. So that 4-year window, a lot was going on in my personal life and just trying to deal with school, family stuff. And so I would try to catch wrestling when I can. I have moments, and, at the same time, Austin was kind of slowly fading away with his injuries. The Rock also starting to get more towards Hollywood, and, the Ruthless Aggression era started taking over, and I didn't really, I try to watch it when I can. But what I'm getting at is when I was able to start kind of focusing on wrestling again as a fan, that's when Chris Jericho came back and was doing the suit stuff. Cause he took some time off. I remember he did Fozzy stuff, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. So 2005, he leaves WWE, and then he doesn't come back till 2007 in his feud with Randy. And then, and late 2008, I mean, that's after, Shawn retires Rick, or WWE retires Rick.
Yeah.
And then, it's supposed to be a one match, 1 month thing, and then it turns into 7 months, and it's my favorite feud ever. I mean, Jericho, he punched the guy's wife, punched her. It was an accident, but he punched her, and all right, we've gone to war over this and that. Now we're going to go to war over the world championship, and it's in the match that Shawn Michaels made famous, the ladder match. You look at that at, what was it? I think it was No Mercy 2008. Yeah. It's a great story, and that's an era of Jericho doesn't really, I think it gets more talked about more now that you look at his career, but a couple years afterward, you were like, oh, okay, you know what happened.
Yeah, because the suit, if I remember correctly, he was kind of stepping away from more of the rock and roll appearance and wearing the suit, being more sophisticated, had the short hair. He was speaking slower, and
it was Nick Bockwinkel adjacent.
Yeah, even the volume in his voice was lower, and he was being more menacing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't have merch at this time, and he's told the story where he was wrestling in the Garden, and somehow a fan and his son got into the elevator with him. Stonewall doesn't even look at him. The kid's begging for an autograph. That's commitment to kayfabe.
Very much a lost art. So yeah, that style I remember, because then remember he also was tagging with Big Show at one point. They were tag champions.
Jericho. Hey, that was an underrated theme song. Well, break the walls down.
So I mean, I'm just gonna say for me personally, Chris Jericho. It's amazing. Obviously, his longevity. The amount of different characters he's able to bring to the table and constantly reinventing himself. And he said this in recent years, David Bowie the musician David Bowie has always been a big inspiration for him. And, for anyone who knows David Bowie's long, legendary music career, R.I.P. to David Bowie as well. But David Bowie always was changing his look, his appearance, his style. And so Jericho very much took that and applied it to himself in his wrestling career. So, I'm a little bit older. So obviously I grew up, watching Chris Jericho get started in WCW. And I loved that time period. He was like the cruiserweight champion. He was being like really obnoxious. I'm such a mark for Rufus, his security guard.
He passed away last year.
Yeah, I heard about that.
R.I.P. to Rufus, dude.
But I loved him. When he came out, he was like his personal security. And my brother and I would always laugh because people try to reach and touch Chris when he's coming down the aisle. And he would stop them and wave his finger like, no, don't touch him. It was just so funny, his body language. We always laugh at that. We try to reenact it amongst ourselves. No. So, but keep in mind, like that time period, like I didn't understand it because I was still just a young guy, but obviously, as we all know now, looking back on it, there were obviously the veterans who were hogging the main event scene and all these great talent in the mid card that weren't getting pushed in the main event or evolving in that direction. So it's very, very well documented. He left WCW, him and a bunch of other guys went to WWE, and the rest is history. So that legendary debut against The Rock, and then him becoming is undisputed the right term, right? Or
yeah, he was the first undisputed champion. And go listen to his podcast he did with Conrad Thompson. He tells the funniest story about the night he wins the title and his interaction with the hotel clerk. It's hilarious.
I mean, but that was legendary as well. I mean, he beat Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night to become undisputed champion, and he started this huge run that launched him into the main event scene in WWE. And God, there's so many stories there and just legendary matches. I mean, we could spend like a whole hour just talking about his history, but I mean, I'll save you the time. But looking back on it, I mean, the night that him and Chris Benoit took on a 2-man power trip of Stone Cold and Triple H, and they beat them for the tag titles, and just the pop from the crowd. And he put the walls of Jericho on Triple H on the table after Triple H already popped his quad in that match. So God, there's so much to talk about. It just, and yeah, like his evolution. I mean, the suit and tie stuff, but it's really amazing his body of work in the last 5 years, and how in the last 5 years it's just as memorable compared to any other time period. And he said it in an interview not too long ago. He's like, how rare is it a band that's been around for, let's say, 25, 30 years, that they have a hit that late in their career? Like the Rolling Stones, there's a lot of bands that don't have hit songs that late in their career. They just milk it and playing all their old hits from way back in the day. But the fact that he was able to, at this later point of his career, create new special moments that people can focus on. So that's what I'm just getting at. It's just truly amazing. He could have easily just milked it in, just, make his appearance, wrestle as Chris Jericho, and just kind of do the same move sets and all that stuff. But no, he, grew his hair out again, changed his look, his outfit, new move set, and then funny segments. I mean, God, just, WWE, the Kevin Owens stuff, what's the Festival of Friendship, right? Is that yeah, that one, and just, all the stuff he did in his last run with WWE, and to where we're at in AEW and New Japan, the stuff in New Japan as well. I mean, God, stuff with Kenny Omega and winning the Intercontinental title over there. And then, of course, yeah, AEW, what he's been doing the last year and a half. It's remarkable. Yeah, like, what he's done in the last, 5 years has really bumped him up. Like, I think for most people, he's, in their top 20, 15, or 10. But I'm saying what he's done the last, 5 years has easily bumped him up to, arguably in the Mount Rushmore, the conversation. Am I right?
Hands down, 100%, man. And what he revealed in one of his Saturday night Jericho Live thing that he does, where he just sits down and talks to people on Facebook and stuff. He revealed, he's coming out with a book, the complete list of Jericho, 30 years of smashes, matches, and hits. It's every match he's ever had, and that's cool.
Yeah, and I read he posted on Instagram as well and Twitter about it. So you could pre-order it now at Jericho30.com. I think it's the website. It won't be out for a few more months, but you could pre-order it now and you have access. You'll get a podcast version where he breaks down some of the matches. But that's amazing. It's like over 2,000 something matches, and he's documented every single match. And
you would think you would have more in 30 years. You would think you would have like 10,000 or something.
Yeah, but I would imagine in the last few years he's probably average. I don't know, like what's a good number? Like let's say in the last couple of years he probably averages 2 a month now. So you could say maybe it's like 50 matches a year now, roughly. I'm thinking hypothetically. So yeah, no, compared to like 1999 to 2020, like 20 years later, 21 years later, it's a lot shorter. But and that's amazing. They was able to document this. Like we'll definitely get him on in the near future to talk about the book when it gets closer to the release date. But I would just love to know the process of documenting. Did he start with a notepad and just write down every match?
So this is how it happened. He talked about it. I forgot whoever was training him, but he asked him like, how many matches have you had? And the guy was like, nobody keeps track of that shit. And then Jericho was like, well, I'm gonna do it. And then he still has the same piece of paper from 30 years ago that he wrote down his first match, which his first match was against Lance Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So he has it all, and he kind of showed it on the live. It's like this binder full of paper. I'm like, that's so cool.
That's awesome. So, and it's cool because he was like tweeting out like pick a number between 1 and 2,000 something, and he'll pick random numbers, and that's
1004 armbar.
So he'll pick random numbers, and those are the matches. He'll record an audio podcast breaking down those matches. So it's very cool. Like I said, I mean, what else can we say that has been said? I mean, and you and I, Philip, as you said, we hung out with him last time Fozzy came to town. That was super fun. And I mean, just in recent years, I mean, just for me personally, like I was doing, years ago, I did a few phone interviews with him, and then got to meet him in person at Aftershock a few years ago. And that turned into, a friendship there. Like he was able to put a name to the face because we did so many phoners together. And I said, yeah, I'm Baby Hugh. And he's like, oh, and he remembers from the phone interviews, put a name to the face. And then, the last couple of times Fozzy's come to town, he's been in the Bay Area. He's hit me up. We did interviews and then hang out with him at the show. So like I said, it's just really cool that someone I grew up loving and respecting as a performer is now become a friend. And I joke on the air, he's my celebrity best friend, but at real talk, he's just such a cool dude, awesome friend. We have a lot of love and respect for him around here. And like I said, we could spend hours talking about his career, but we'll get into that, of course, talking about the show itself. So, Philip, like we always do, just kind of give me your initial thoughts of this special episode of Dynamite, the 30th anniversary of Jericho. And then we'll go through some of the highlights. So yeah, give me some of your takeaways.
I mean, it was cool. I don't want to call it lackluster. I mean, it had the feel because, of the Jericho 30th anniversary and the dog collar match. But other than like those two things that you're really looking forward to, it was all right. Yeah. The fans did seem louder though.
Yeah. It's did you hear? I think was it Florida? The state of Florida now is allowing people or venues full capacity. I forgot what it was. So that's why like WrestleMania is getting or Vince is getting all excited, I think potentially about that. But on a side note, that's of course up to the venue if they want to allow the full capacity. I forgot what, don't quote me. I think it was what the governor or something said like that. I don't know if you're able to look it up on your own right now. But anyway, what I'm saying that, I'm with you. So this 30th anniversary show, other than a couple segments, some of the other stuff were just basic. The tough part is when I heard that they were going to do this 30th anniversary show, I was like, you're not really going to do like a highlight show because WWE owns the rights to all his matches before AEW. So it's not like they have a lot of archive footage to turn to and replay that. So very much this episode was audio or video of the current roster of AEW reflecting on Chris Jericho, and then we saw a lot of video shout outs from various friends of his from the wrestling, music, and entertainment industry. And that's about it. And then there's a segment at the end, which we'll get into. But yeah, I'm with you. Other than a couple segments, it was an okay episode. Some of the highlights that I enjoy, I thought really stood out. And like I said, we'll jump into that. So, first match of the night, we saw Brian Cage defending the FTW championship against the Bay Area's own friend of the show, Will Hobbs. Yeah, man, your thoughts on this opening match?
Well, according to Jim Ross, his name is Willie Hobbs. Brandon, I think he hates that more than the smoke detector. I don't know.
Friend of the show, the smoke detector.
Oh, absolutely, yes. My new best friend.
Contributor.
Yeah, I liked it. This is a great spot for Will Hobbs, repping the Bay Area. Really, they talked about, how his hips pop with the spine buster and all that other stuff, which,
yeah.
I mean, Hobbs, for being his size, he's very quick. We already know he's powerful, but he's quick and agile, and their styles really meshed well together. It was a fight for the FTW title.
Absolutely. It was hard hitting. I mean, I laughed, Taz and Ricky Starks on commentary as well. So it was interesting. They had like 5 people sitting at the table. But the thing that was funny, so they were talking about Will Hobbs and how he bench presses 475 pounds. That's what Jim Ross said. And then was it Taz quickly jumped up and says, well, Brian Cage, he can bench press 476 pounds. So I laughed at that. Like, it's like Taz defending his guy. But yeah, no, very hard hitting. I mean, 2 big hosses going at it. We saw Will Hobbs go up to the top rope, trying to go a little high flying. That's a little out of his repertoire. It cost him because then Brian Cage was able to get the victory from there. So, but yeah, no, it was still a great, entertaining match.
Well, yeah, I mean, with going up to the top rope, that's when big guys do that. That's like, I've tried everything I can. I have to do something I don't normally do to try to beat the guy. Yeah. And I'm surprised Cage got him up for the drill claw, which that's an impressive move all in its own. Didn't Rick Steiner start doing that? The suplex driver?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I think he started doing that.
Actually,
but,
yeah, Brian Cage, dude, he could easily model some of his moveset probably after Scott Steiner. I mean, I'm just thinking of like...
Model his map after him, too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, size-wise, like, he has, like, a similar body size. I mean, oh, man, that'd be a lot. I mean, Steiner, dude, I mean, I'm a huge... growing up, I loved the Steiner brothers. But then, Scott Steiner, when he became Big Papa Pump, I mean, that was a whole...
Big bad booty daddy.
Yeah, so that was a whole nother thing.
But back to the thing, though, Team Taz comes out there and they're like, Hobbs, it's easy. You either join us or you don't. Then Darby Allin's music hits. And then Taz is like, kid, sooner or later you're going to learn not to get involved in my business. And I'm like, ooh, okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Darby Allin... He's just going to be known as the guy who just runs into the ring all the time. That's all he does lately, I feel like. Kind of put him in some more matches. But so that rivalry's long not over yet, him and Ricky Starks. So curious to see how this plays out. And I still hope at some point we get that make good of Darby Allin, Will Hobbs, and Moxley taking on Archer and Taz's guys, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks at some point. I know that was on hold because of, COVID related stuff, but I hope they do make it up at some point, especially for Will Hobbs. I still want him in that main event, get a match on the main event scene on Dynamite. But then next up, we saw, the first set of like these videos, wishing Jericho congratulations. So we saw Slash from Guns N' Roses fame, Dennis Miller, former SNL, cast member, host of Weekend Update there, comedian, and Chris Jericho's dad, Ted Irvine. That was so cool. And one that really shocked me was Tanahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And man, Phillip, I mean, the fact that someone from New Japan appeared on AEW like that,
with that logo right in the background,
dude,
that forbidden door isn't closed.
Exactly, man.
It's open.
I mean, and here's the thing: we haven't talked about this on an episode, but a couple weeks ago, the current was a president or CEO, wherever the title is. Oh my God, what's his name? Oh my God.
I just think Gato's in charge of everything, so I just say Gato.
No. Oh my God. Let me see. Harold Mage, I think that's how you pronounce it. I mean, seen him in person before, but no, he, was removed of his position as running New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the guy who ran New Japan Pro Wrestling USA is going to take over. So Harold was in charge for just a little over a couple years. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you have a lot of thoughts on that situation. A lot of people were speculating what's that mean for New Japan.
I'll wait till more information's out there.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is, with that being said, there are, a lot of people, because of kind of reflecting on Harold's time in charge of New Japan. Was it a success? Was it a bust? I mean, you look at it in the last couple of years, what has happened? New Japan lost their USA TV deal, their US TV deal off Access TV. So they're not currently on a network out here in America. All the top stars, Gaijin, right? Is that all the foreigner wrestlers?
The Gaijin or the Gaikakojins.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to go with.
The majority of the big names left. I'm talking about Kenny Omega, Cody, the Young Bucks. They all left. I mean, obviously they started AEW, but so a lot of the big names, you could say that, New Japan in the last year and a half lost a lot of star power there. And yeah, I mean, they've been kind of slow as far as their expansion in the US. They really held back. I mean, obviously there's a pandemic that slowed that down, but, so you could easily criticize New Japan for, just things have not been working out perfectly. I know they do really well in Japan, their home country, obviously, but as far as expansion goes, it's been a little bit of a bumpy road. So, and that's the other thing too, is like maybe now with this change in power, maybe now this can lead some new talks or, just hypothetically speaking, between AEW and New Japan of doing some work together. So the fact that Tanahashi showed up, I think they got a lot of people excited. And so, a little forward, promotion. So, earlier today, I recorded an interview with Nyla Rose, and I asked her about just AEW working with other promotions. And I referenced Tanahashi's appearance on Dynamite and, of course, NWA working with AEW. So, I'll get that interview out as well shortly. So, check that out and listen to her response about that. So a little tease right there. And so then, after that, we saw, FTR defend the, tag team titles against, TH2, or is it the Hybrid?
The Hybrid 2, yeah.
Hybrid 2.
This was a differently paced worked match than I'm used to FTR working. I mean, we know they can do the fast-paced stuff. You watch their stuff with American Alpha back in NXT.
Yeah.
I mean, they were more agile, and I really do like that. The 20-minute brush with greatness. It's absolutely great because it's in the name.
Yeah.
But all in all, FTR, they got the win. They're still the champs, and I really forgot about Angelico and Jack Evans. I did.
I know. I mean, I know recently they've been appearing more on AEW Dark, but even before that, they were hardly on AEW. I think there were some travel issues because of the pandemic, but I'm glad to see them back. They are very entertaining. I know one's a high flyer, the other one's more technical in the ring. So, I mean, even though their outfits do look like highlighters, like highlighter pins, but nonetheless, no, FTR, dude. I mean, they just keep going out there and delivering stellar matches, and it just shows why they're one of the best tag teams going right now. So yeah, they get the victory there. As they're trying to leave, we see Best Friends come out. They get the weenies, cartoon weenies of FTR on their shirt.
That was WWE adjacent.
Yes, and so
you want to stay away from that stuff.
And so yeah, they called them out, said they're weenies, and they're avoiding them. And they Best Friends said they are number one contenders, and they'll get their shot at the tag titles next week. And just a little forward promotion, next week is going to be the big 1-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite. So back-to-back special shows lined up here. So FTR is going to be defending their titles once again. So that should be a lot of fun. And then after that, so Best Friends leave. We see a video package of MJF just playing up Chris Jericho, giving him a tribute. And then the next set of videos, we see Lars from Metallica, Gene Simmons from Kiss, Don Callis, which is very cool. Hey, Don Callis is one of the head masterminds currently be with Impact Wrestling. So very cool. But keep in mind, Don Callis has also worked with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he was one of the forces that helped bring Chris Jericho over to New Japan in the last couple of years. So, and they have a long history together as friends. So, and then we saw Shaq make an appearance as well. Diamond Dallas Page, they all, said their congrats to him. So that was very cool, man. Let's see.
I popped for Shaq. I did, because they had that segment on Raw where it was back during the guest host era of Raw, and Jericho, this is the suit and tie Jericho, he's like, when they told me the greatest Laker of all time was going to be guest hosting Raw, I thought it was going to be Kobe Bryant, which, everybody was like, ooh, which, RIP to Kobe again. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, come on. It's so cool. And once again, it just shows, hey, the power of TNT as a network, because, Shaq works for TNT as well, doing all the NBA stuff. So it's cool to get the crossover promotion that way as well. Next up, one of the big matches you and I were big fans of was a dog collar match in AEW, the first ever one in AEW. TNT champion Brodie Lee, Mr. Brodie Lee of the Dark Order, defending it against Cody. And wow, man. I thought it was really cool. They had Greg the Hammer Valentine sitting ringside to commemorate that because of his legendary match with Roddy Piper back in 1983.
Starrcade 1983, 11/24, the first ever one. Yeah. I wonder how much they had to pay him to get there.
Actually, I wonder where he lives, Greg the Hammer Valentine. I wonder where he lives right now.
He still wrestles.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. I mean, jeez. Have you seen that original dog collar match with Piper and Valentine?
That was our match pick of the week today on the Bulletcast.
Dude, my brother Tommy and I, we recently watched that. When did we watch that? Like one day we were just binge watching a bunch of stuff on the network, WWE Network, and I was like, a while ago, I was like, I never seen the first Starrcade, or it's been a long time. So I popped that on, and dude, that first Starrcade's so good. But yeah, when we watched that dog collar match, I mean, Piper was bleeding. I think it was Piper bleeding out of his ear and just the damage there. So I knew, okay, you got Cody Rhodes, you got a dog collar match. There's going to be blood. There has to be blood. So, I just felt, I wish Greg the Hammer Valentine had a little bit more to do. I just felt he kind of just sat there and looked a little lost, like he was a little expressionless, but overall, man, what were your thoughts on this match itself?
This was fun. It had that old school feel. Cody always has the big entrance, and he's been criticized over the last couple of weeks for that because it's Papa Hunter-esque, people say, but it's whatever. I mean, all in all, this was fun. It was exciting. The package pile driver to Brodie Lee from Cody off the apron onto the table. Brodie kind of landed on Cody. Cody looks like he's bulked up and weight gained like I think 12 pounds. They said, to get ready for this fight, and the dark hair. He has the darker tights now, and there's just the whole presentation of everything worked. Blood was gushing out of everybody. Shout out to number 4, John Silver, taking a hell of a beating from Cody.
Dude, listen, I will admit, I don't watch Being Elite on a regular basis, but I've started watching the last few weeks because I've been hearing how awesome and funny the Dark Order has been, their segments, and I've been watching it. Brodie Lee, just the amount of crap he gives Silver is hysterical, and Silver is such an entertaining guy. So if you haven't watched Being Elite on a regular basis, go watch the last few episodes. They were so funny. Even was it last week? The members of Dark Order were in the back and they started singing Cody Rhodes. John Silver, they cut to him and he goes, "Wrestling has more than one royal family." And then he backs up and he goes around the Dark Order and they're like, "Adrenaline in my soul, something, Cody Rhodes." And then, who's the other guy? Evil Uno. And then who's the other guy? The bald guy.
I have no idea.
I forgot. The bald
no
guy.
idea.
Then he goes, "Whoa!" And then Brodie Lee comes in. He's like, what the F are you guys singing? And Silver's like, your theme song. My new theme song? He's like, yeah. And he's like, "Sing it for me again." And they're like, "Okay." And then they go, "Exalted One. He's the best. And he is handsome." So, I mean, you got to watch it. Dark Order has made Being Elite so funny. Anyway, sorry. That's your Being Elite review for the week. But, no, I'm with you. This match was amazing. I was a little bummed though, that pile driver through the table, that was during the commercial break. So it was picture in picture. So it was like, me squinting, trying to look at my TV screen. But yeah, just the use of the dog collar chain, how each of them, Cody and Brodie, were like, strategy, like pulling on each other. Even Brodie Lee slipped at one point from the chain wrapped around his leg. He slipped on it. It's just, like I said, the back and forth using that chain, it just really adds a whole new layer to that match and just the different spots they can create from that. But of course, Cody started bleeding and Brodie started bleeding. So, it was awesome. And then, Cody, landed his, finisher, the Crossroads, and got the victory and won back the TNT Championship. So your thoughts on Cody winning it back?
I love Cody. I love him to death. I thought Brodie should have won because he was he was on a roll, and people were saying, Brodie just held the title so Cody could go do a TV show because of the Go Big show, or whatever. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Cody can't challenge for the world title, so this is what has to happen. I know they're doing the tournament. I don't know if all 8 participants have been announced. If they haven't, if there's a slot, put Brodie in there, have him win.
Yeah, so no, I kind of understand that. Like, it does seem kind of suspect. It's like, okay, so Cody loses, goes away, films a new TV show, and then when he comes back, wins it right back. So it's like, is Brodie kind of like a paper champion or like a placeholder? Like, here, the little hot potato, like, here, hold my title while I'm gone for 5 weeks. So, yeah, I do see the criticism there, but at the same time, listen, Cody Rhodes is so over. I know it's kind of hard to tell as far as what his reaction would be in front of a packed house of fans, but from my just observations, Cody is so over with the AEW fan base. It kind of makes sense for him to get back the title and be the face of AEW Dynamite because he is the TNT champion. I also love, I'm glad it looks like he got rid of the weight belt. I was not a big fan of the weight belt. It just looked kind of awkward wrestling with that big old thick leather belt around your waist like that. Like, it makes sense maybe for the entrance, but take it off for the man.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. I did.
Really?
I kind of liked it.
It just looked like it was such a big, I don't know. For me, it just looked awkward. I'm just glad he's just focusing on the trunks. I do like the dark trunks now. I think that's cool.
His new color hair gave him more power.
Yes, exactly.
But, I enjoyed the speech that he gave after his match. People don't like the rah-rah speeches normally in wrestling to pander to the crowd, but Cody does it so well.
Yeah.
He fits the ideal of the American dream because, hell, his dad was the American dream.
Yeah.
So, he said he did it for all of us. This is his life's work to be a professional wrestler. He's been striving for this since he was 15 years old, and it worked. It worked for me. I loved it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. He addressed, like I'm not going dark. Like, I guess, was he alluding to that people think he was going to become a bad guy, become a heel? Is that
maybe that's it?
Because that's how I kind of interpreted it. I also then interpreted, of course, he has the dark hair and the dark outfit. Even his theme song has that little bit more of the, the red lights before the voice kicks in and stuff, and the music. So he definitely has more of a darker appeal and appearance, but I guess it's not going to affect him as far as becoming a heel. He's going to still be a babyface for right now. That's what we can see. So, and then, Tony Schiavone asked him, or he said he wants to defend it next week. And Tony asked him, who are you going to defend it against? And then we see Orange Cassidy come out, gives the thumbs up, and then Cody gives a thumbs up back to him. So I'm like, let me ask you this, Phil. Like, does Orange Cassidy deserve a title shot? Like, he just had one not too long ago against Brodie Lee and lost. So it's like, dude, why are you getting another title shot already?
Well, he's going up against a guy that hasn't wrestled in 6 or 7 weeks and just had a grueling dog collar match. So Orange Cassidy could become the TNT champion. Orange Cassidy next week could be the champion of America's Greatest Network.
Yeah, and that could be kind of weird. Like, let me ask you this. Do you I'm worried that there might be a little Orange Cassidy fatigue as far as they've really been pushing him a lot. Like, over the summer, he's gotten a lot of screen time, and I've grown to become an Orange Cassidy fan. I wasn't necessarily at first when I first got to know him last year, but what I'm getting at is his style. I think you really do need a fans in-house to react to some of his more comedic behavior. So the fact that he's doing a lot of this stuff with no fans, I think sometimes it goes a little dry out there. But at the same time, like, we're also getting a lot of screen time from him. So I just kind of worried, like, his act is going to get a little tired out. Like, I'm not there yet, but I'm worried if we kind of see more of him, it's going to get kind of old fast. So that's why I was really shocked that they're already putting him back into like a title opportunity against Cody Rhodes. So I was like, I was thinking maybe you kind of hold him off a bit. I don't know. I mean, and if he wins the next week, that's like what? Cody only had it for 1 week? I mean, that kind of sucks. But then does that mean we get like a triple threat? Like Brodie and Cody can go after Orange Cassidy?
They haven't even had that yet, which I'm shocked.
A triple threat for the title?
They haven't had a triple threat at all, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah, which that's the move in other places.
Yeah, and then also was announced. So 3 more names were announced for the AEW World Championship Tournament. So it was announced Wardlow, Colt Cabana, and Hangman Adam Page have been added. So there's 6 names total now announced. The previous ones were Ray Phoenix, Kenny Omega, was it Pentagon as well? I think it was that was announced. So it's cool. If you have a chance, check out Hangman Adam Page's Twitter. He put out his own press release talking about his entrance into the match. And we saw Alex Marvez interview Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was really focusing how he's going to be a singles competitor only. He's going after the title. It's been over a year since he's had an opportunity. And asked about, Hangman Adam Page. They keep focusing on, he's just a tag team specialist. That's all he's known for. So, dude, early prediction, it's going to be Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page in the finals of that tournament. And then I think what's going to happen, Kenny's going to win.
Or, we thought the Young Bucks were going to win the AEW tag titles, and they didn't.
Yeah. No, you're right. But, I mean, like, here's my thing. I think Kenny Omega's going to win the tournament, challenge Moxley, and I think Kenny's going to be the one to get the title off Moxley. And then Hangman Adam Page is going to go after him. And I still think they're setting it up. That could be the rivalry of 2021, Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page. I think that's the long-term storytelling they're going with. So, yeah, I'm excited for this tournament, and hopefully it gets underway pretty soon. Next up, we saw the women's match, Big Swole taking on Serena Deeb. Philip, your thoughts on this match here?
It was stiff and hard-hitting. We haven't seen Big Swole since All Out, which was like a month ago. So, glad to see her, Serena Deeb, one of the best that's ever done it, that really hasn't gotten a lot of recognition and credit for her work in the ring. Mm-hmm. So I like the way these two women worked well together. Yeah,
it's almost like Swole was laying out some Hurt Business on Serena Deeb there.
Oh, well, I wonder why.
Real talk, if anyone doesn't know, Swole's husband is Cedric Alexander of the Hurt Business now. Did you know that? Did you know that?
No, I knew. I was just thinking, like, whenever he's on Raw, she's not on AEW. Then when she's on AEW, he's not on Raw. Which, like, this week,
Yeah, no, he hasn't been on Raw. I know we're jumping at WWE talk, so I wonder where he's been. I know MVP said he's getting a lesson in the Hurt Business way of fighting or something. So I hope he's doing okay. Whenever someone's off TV, it makes you, during this pandemic era, it makes you question, like, oh my God, what happened to them? So.
Hurt Business AEW, by the way.
Could confirm. Swole's bringing him over. But Serena, dude, she's so good. Very technical in this match. I mean, God, it was a great hard-hitting match here as well. And then next up we saw Jon Moxley cut a promo. We saw earlier in the night Lance Archer cut a promo with Jake the Snake Roberts promoting their match next week. But Moxley sitting at the bar, I enjoyed it. He's talking about Lance Archer, and, he took the shot and says, everybody dies, playing off Lance Archer's catchphrase. So, just a little early prediction, man, Phil, for next week. Who do you think's gonna win between Moxley and Lance Archer for the World Championship?
Moxley.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, Moxley's done an incredible job as far as, like, I will say this, like, Moxley and, like, even comparing it to, Drew McIntyre, I love both their title reigns this year as far as every big person that comes their way, they beat the crap out of them. Yeah, I love it. So Moxley, like, every big challenge thrown his way, he's beating them up. So I really dig his title reign so far. And then next up was the main event, 30 years in the making, Chaos Project featuring Luther and Serpentico taking on Chris Jericho and Jake Hager from the Inner Circle. And the rest of the guys from Inner Circle came out with Chris Jericho. Dude, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, Jericho and Luther have been longtime friends, I think since like 1991. So it's very cool that Jericho, on his 30th anniversary show, is having his friend be a part of the main event. So great opportunity, great spotlight for them. And, dude, Jericho coming out and the crowd singing to his theme song and the smile on his face. That was such a cool moment.
Yeah, I mean, just the adulation from all the fans. They really amped it up. They really sung their hearts out for that one.
Yeah. And what'd you think of the match overall, though?
This was not good.
Yeah, it was a little sloppy. Luther, it was a little over the place, and he was trying to get on the top rope, and it wasn't smooth.
Just let you could kind of see Jericho positioning his hands in certain spots to like, no, here. So kind of like help it along.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to get over too critical, but it wasn't good. Luther should be as Rufus. That's all I'm going to say.
He almost looks like him now.
Yeah.
but no, you're right. Jericho took a lot of hits in this match. So, hey, kudos to him, man, for taking a little bit of a beating here to help put over Luther a bit. So, but Jericho got the win here. So, of course, he was going to win. Who would have questioned if he was going to win or not on his 30th anniversary special? So, they got the victory. They're celebrating. And then all of a sudden, MJF's music comes up, and he comes out to the ring, and he has some gifts for Chris Jericho. Wardlow is walking with someone else that's under a blanket, and Wardlow almost revealed it too early, but he reveals it's the clown of Jericho. Is that what it was? It was just a clown?
Yeah. He was like, I got a surprise for Corazon de Leon, Le Champion, and it's the clown of Jericho. Then there's another surprise, which is a picture of MJF. Jericho smacks it over the clown's head, hits him with a vicious Judas effect.
Dude, that was hard.
That was the best one.
Dude, I know, totally. But no, it was very funny. MJF, his gift to Jericho was a portrait of himself, of MJF. So very funny. I mean, Philip, do you know the similarities in that segment, or as far as the portrait? What's that like a reference to by chance?
I have no idea. I think it was just MJF being obnoxious.
No. So when you get a chance, this is me passing on a little bit of wrestling history for you. So The Rock, when he was still part of the Nation of Domination, he presented Farouk a portrait of himself.
Yes, I just saw that timeline on WWE Network. Yeah, okay.
And so, for anyone out there who might have forgotten, that was, of course, during the Attitude Era when The Rock was part of Nation Domination. He presented Farouk a portrait of himself. And for anyone who doesn't know the significance, after that's when The Rock took over the Nation of Domination. So that's what kind of split up Farouk and The Rock. Like, that's when they started headbutting, going after each other, and The Rock became the new leader. So, Philip, let me ask you this. Are we going to see something similar play out here? Because, like, MJF and Chris Jericho have been going back and forth for the last few weeks. And, with last week's episode, he brought jackets for everyone except for Sammy Guevara. He's been kind of like kissing his ass, but then there's moments of tension where they like stop and look at each other and like they're making fun of each other, and they're like, no, it's all good, we're all good, man. I don't know, like, just hypothetically speaking, and we know, like, MJF mentioned not too long ago in a promo about he realizes you almost need like a faction to succeed in AEW, because listen, there's a lot of stables. Do you think he might be trying to play himself to take over the Inner Circle out of Chris Jericho?
It's almost like Japan over there. I don't know. Would those guys really do that would they really do that to Chris? Because MJF, if he's not the leader of a faction, he doesn't want to be in it. I mean, he was the leader of the dynasty in MLW.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, part of me is if MJF wants a faction, I would love to see the dynasty, his old faction from MLW, as you said, to come to AEW, but I know it's tough the other guys of that faction still have contracts with MLW, but I love the Dynasty. They're very much Horseman-esque in many ways, and they all have different personalities. I love it. But yeah, I wonder what MJF is trying to allude to here. I mean, I know there's been rumors of AEW trying to create their own version of the Four Horsemen. Even Arn Anderson, I think, within the last week or two, has filed for the name again, I think, for the Four Horsemen as well. So something is happening here. We don't know. Like, FTR are still, working with Tully. I don't know. I know you and I tried to speculate not too long ago who could be the new Four Horsemen. Is it going to be FTR? Maybe it could be MJF. Hangman Adam Page, has some sort of friendship with FTR, even though it kind of went sour recently. I don't know. There's a lot of questions here, but maybe MJF he's trying to screw over Chris Jericho and take over the Inner Circle. I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. And so the symbolism of the portrait, what's this leading towards? That's my question.
Jericho versus MJF at Full Gear, winner gets the Inner Circle.
That too. That's very possible, man. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And I love the ending where all the credits came in Chris Jericho's names over and over. Very much like Saturday Night Live, where like all the heels came out the ring, were celebrating and hugging each other out. Very much like how SNL ends every episode with the cast on stage. So very funny seeing that. Also, I want to shout out, we also saw the other set of cameos. We saw Lance Storm cut a video package, Kevin Smith, Eli Roth, Gabriel Iglesias with Chavo Guerrero Jr. on a Zoom call, and also Steel Panther. I love Steel Panther, a very fun band, and Ultimo Dragon, and even Paul Stanley of Kiss. So Kiss is one of Chris Jericho's favorite bands, and he got Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons to make appearances last night. So very cool that they all cut congrats videos for him.
Also, shout out to the EVH on his arm.
Yes.
Eddie Van Halen, he unfortunately passed away recently.
I know, man, dude, that was heartbreaking. Eddie Van Halen. Like, Eddie Van Halen was like one of my first guitar gods that I fell in love with. And I mean, I love Van Halen. They're one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Such an influence. And I'm very sad with the news of Eddie Van Halen passing, but it was cool. Yes, with Chris Jericho did. If you check out his Instagram, he looks like he took a Sharpie and put EVH on his upper bicep. So very cool. So that I love that. So yeah, man, I'm with you. It's outside of Chris Jericho's match and the ending segment, the dog collar match, and maybe even the opening match in the tag. I mean, there were some highlights there, but there was also some moments where it was just, it's okay. I think they did the best they could as far as trying to celebrate 30th years of Chris Jericho without having, access to his video library of matches that WWE owns. I think they did the best that they could as far as the roster, giving their viewpoints about Chris Jericho and all the video. Congrats from the celebrities that they had. So overall, still a very fun show. And yeah, man, next week is going to be the big AEW Dynamite 1 year anniversary. And a lot of matches have been announced for that. So we got Moxley defending the title against Lance Archer, Cody Rhodes defending TNT title against Orange Cassidy, FTR versus Best Friends, Miro and Kip Sabian are going to be in action, which they were busy last night playing video games ringside. So, I mean, a lot of stuff is in the works for next week's episode. I like this, that they do like these specials back to back, This week was the 30th anniversary. Next year's 1 year anniversary for Dynamite. So, man, a lot of good stuff is coming up. So, keep your eye on AEW, man. A lot of fun going on. And ratings-wise, they did really well, considering that the VP debate was going on last night as well. So, good times, man. So, yeah, we'll look forward to talking about that next week. All right, Philip, well, on that note, let's get out of here for tonight. Where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
Twitter and Instagram, Heel Antwine, at Heel Antwine, HEEL. Antoine ANTWINE, and then of course the Bulletcast on Instagram, the Bulletcast on YouTube, at Bulletcast on Twitter, and Huey, thanks for having me back on the ITK, the King of the BC on the ITK. That's just how we do it. Diamonds are forever. So is the microphone Messiah. Don't you dare forget it.
I love it. And yes, I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please hit that like button and follow us there. Let's see. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Subscribe to In The Kliq there as well. And please rate, comment, and review the podcast. Share the podcast. We appreciate all the support. And if you're listening to this episode, make sure to listen to the next episode. Just a little forward tease. I did an interview with Nyla Rose, former AEW women's champion. And let's just say I started out the interview calling her that. A little upsetting that she's a former champion. So, we had some fun with that. So very fun interview. We talked about just her time in AEW, her friendship with Chris Jericho, her working with Vicky Guerrero, and just looking ahead for the future of AEW and the women's division there. So a lot of good stuff. So, please listen to that interview coming up shortly. And for everything else, make sure to email us inthekliq@gmail.com. And we appreciate all the continued support from you, the Kliqsters. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.